Welcome to Brother Miller's Notes. I titled our little time together dealing with 2 Nephi 24 or Isaiah 14 as Shoel, or the spirit world. Last year I went to Italy with some great friends, and I was fascinated with Michelangelo's masterpiece, The Last Judgment. In the Sistine Chapel, I noticed that the focus right in the center of the masterpiece was Jesus Christ. To the left, I could see the saints, those who are trying to overcome their sins. They are rising. They're being brought up. Those on the left-hand side who are sinners who remain in their sins are taken down. You have this guy right here who seems to be the condemned man, and they are soon to be brought down and taken by these evil-looking minion people down to Hades or hell. Dante writes about hell in his Divine Comedy. Now, Inferno is the first part of that epic poem from the 14th century, and he defines some layers, some levels of hell, and consigns people into it. I have found that people have spoken a lot about hell. They've drawn a lot about. Went to the internet to get some pictures. And, well, this was one of my favorites because it looks like this is Sauron's little tower with a fish head in it. I don't know what that all means, but Isaiah does talk a little bit about hell in 2 Nephi 24. For the Hebrew word is Sheol. It's Hades, the spirit world. It's a generality of the spirit world all combined. And his focus is not really on the place, but we're going to learn a little bit about that. His focus is on the king of Babylon and how he is like Satan. He makes comparisons of Satan. And first, just define a few names, because I love what the names mean and what it teaches us. The name Satan means to accuse or to attack. He is the slanderer in Revelation chapter 12. Lucifer meant light bearer. His pre-earth life name, it means the shining one. He was Lucifer and then became called perdition, which means loss or destruction. He was a son of the morning, according to Isaiah. And in the spirit world, he will become as weak as the other spirits, and they'll marvel at how weak he is. They will note that he has fallen from heaven. In the premortal life, Isaiah notes that thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. And in Babylonian God theology, the mount of the congregation was an assembly of gods. The more powerful gods, or the Babylonian gods, would sit on the north end. They're the prominent gods, the most powerful gods. And so Satan is saying, I will sit among the assembly of gods in the most prominent position in the north because I'm better than the rest of you. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High, the most powerful God. He has an I problem. You'll notice that he only talks about himself. He is self-centered and self-focused. That is why his I problems really let us know how self-centered he is. When arriving in Sheol, he is not even noticed. He's relegated to the sides of the pit. He is what you would call a wallflower, not even really noticed. People don't seem to care too much about him. He is compared to a diseased and broken or an abominable branch, one that you would pile into a pile and burn as soon as you could. Isaiah teaches he never had a body, and he'll never have a burial place. And the host of heaven will lament and say, How have you fallen from heaven, Lucifer, the son of the morning? And in section 76, I note that the host of heaven wept at his falling, along with the third part of the host of heaven. Isaiah does teach a little bit about Sheol, and there is a Christian author, an Isaiah scholar, who makes 4 observations of what Isaiah teaches about the spirit world. 1, in the spirit world, the dead are alive. It is a place where all of the dead live in the spirit world. There is a personal continuity of personal recognition. You recognize somebody who dies and is in the spirit world as themselves. It is also a place of weakness with loss, not enhancement of earthly powers. And the dead wait in Sheol for a fullness or a future enhancement that is brought about by the resurrection. The people also are noted by Isaiah of what they learn. Now the saints or the righteous one are compared to trees who are cut down by a feller or a wood chopper. And Isaiah teaches that the trees, the saints, may think the power of their destruction is in this feller, this wood chopper, or Satan, but it is not. They will consider or discern and understand who Satan really is, and will marvel, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? The people will understand that Satan has little, see his worth as a carcass, a dead animal, or one who has been killed in warfare, or diseased, and a broken branch. But throughout the whole chapter, you see God in the background. You see God preparing to sweep the earth with the besom or broom of destruction. Now, we may say that is at the second coming of Jesus Christ, and that is true. But I think there's also a second sweeping that's happening that's infusing righteousness into the earth. That righteousness infused into the earth also sweeps away the influences of wickedness. President Ezra Taft Benson said, "The Book of Mormon is an instrument that God designed to sweep the earth as with a flood, to gather out his elect." Few on earth, either in or out of the church, have caught the vision of what the Book of Mormon is all about. Few are they among men who know the part it has played and will yet play in preparing the way for the coming of him of whom it is a witness. The Book of Mormon shall so affect men that the whole earth and all its peoples will have been influenced and governed by it. There is no greater issue ever to confront mankind in modern times than this. Is the Book of Mormon the mind and will and voice of God to all men? We testify that it is. God will not only sweep the earth of wickedness, and I think by the influence of the Book of Mormon, and ultimately at his second coming, but he makes the promise to Isaiah that he will break the Assyrian in my land, the land of Palestine or Israel. The Assyrians in 701 BC, under Sennacherib's leadership, faced a revolt of Judah after the king Ahaz's death, when Hezekiah, supported by Egypt, refused to pay tribute to Assyria. He invaded Palestine and destroyed a number of cities, but at Jerusalem the Lord did tread him underfoot. The Lord caused that 185,000 of the Assyrian army died in one night, and then the king returned home, only to be killed there by his sons. It was interesting to note that the king is in one of his temples when the two sons came and killed him. And those in Babylon celebrated, essentially saying, well, you thought that you were better than everybody else's gods, but your God didn't protect you. And in what you thought you were being in a temple to your God where you thought you were being protected, we have the last laugh, you're killed. Back to where Isaiah is talking about, there is a promise that God has a purpose that is purposed. And I'm going to pause there. I like the NIV translation of that. Plan determined. So in that translation, God has a plan determined upon the whole earth, or for the whole earth. And this is the hand that is stretched out upon all nations. There is a theme in Isaiah that there is always a hand stretched out to all nations. That hand has the power to save from death, from hell, from Sheol. God has a plan for you, and nothing can stop God's plan in your life. God has prepared mansions for you. The question is, are you willing to live in them? Thank you for spending a little time with me talking about Sheol and what Isaiah taught in Isaiah 14 as quoted in 2 Nephi 24. I hope you have a lovely day.